once again to Casual Warcraft. I am, as always, Lust, and this is, I don't remember what episode this is. I kind of got lost in there somewhere. I kind of, lost the regularity I was going for. But anyways, got a little bit of information for you today. We're going to go through the Mr. Pandaria Talent Calculator up on the Blizzard website, which, you can always jump over there yourself and do it. The link will be down there in the sub box. But there's some stuff, I want to talk about, mostly the level 90 abilities. There's a couple of, level 87 things on there that I really wanted to discuss. Just to give you guys an overview, so I can kind of show you what's up. If there's anything really interesting pre-level 90 or pre-level 87, I'll try to let you know about it if I happen to think about it while I'm sitting right here. Since I don't make notes, I'm winging this all right off my other monitor. So, no further pomp and circumstance or ado or anything like that. Here we go. Starting with Death Knight, since it's the first one up on the site, we got level 87. Not sure what I think about this ability, but I think I like it. It's called Soul Reaper. Requires level 87, melee range, instant cast, requires a melee weapon. 6-second cooldown. 6 seconds. I think that's a little bit important when we get through this ability, but bear with me. Strikes an enemy for 50% weapon damage and afflicts the target with Soul Reaper. After 5 seconds, if the target is below 35% health, this effect will deal 46,549 additional shadow damage. If the enemy dies before this effect triggers, the Death Knight gains 50% haste for 5 seconds. So, it's on a 6-second cooldown. It kind of works with a very active tanking model because if you as a tank, you see how quick you're burning an enemy. You know how quick roughly it's going to take to burn that enemy the rest of the way down. Say you look at it and go, man, this enemy's dying quick. Bam, hit him with Soul Reaper, 3 seconds later is dead. You get 50% haste for 5 seconds. Switch that over to the other enemy. I don't know if the haste actually affects the cooldown on it or if it's a straight 6 seconds. I'm pretty sure it's a straight 6 seconds. Still, burning the next enemy down. You don't really need the haste. You're burning them down not quite as quick as the first one. Hit him with it again. Bam. 46,000 damage. 1 second after it ticks, hit it again. Boss fights, you can more or less spam this thing. Every time you see that 46,000 shadow damage pop on your scrolling battle text, 1 second later, you hit this again. 1 global cooldown later, slightly more than, you hit it again. That's insane. I don't know how they're gonna be scaling the rest of damage with this. And I don't know how they're going to be scaling, health and all that. I know there was already some discussions about how to deal with huge number strings like damage in the millions and stuff that are popping up on your screen and saying, 1,000,000 damage. It was going to be like 1 point something M, for damage. So that tells me something that 46,549 is probably going to be about the equivalent of 4,600 now. Because that's kind of how abilities work now. They deal an extra 7,000-8,000, something like that. So, yeah, I kind of like it. I think it's neat. Anyways, I'm waiting. I want to try that one out. Gorfine's Grasp. I've seen versions of this in a couple of talent trees. Actually, looking at it, it's not really anything too fancy, but it's kind of neat for tanks, I guess, or for helping out the tank, I guess. As long as it's what I'm thinking it is. Yes, it is. Been up for a long time. I'm pretty tired, but I still got this going. Gorfine's Grasp, 30-yard range, instant cast, 1-minute cooldown. Shadowy tendrils coil around all enemies within 20 yards of the target, hostile or friendly, dealing 2,324 shadow damage and pulling them to the target's location. It's like a mass death grip with the damage. I'm okay with that. I kind of like it. It's nice for DPS because it's a good way to help out the tank. The way threat scales now, I don't really see a need for that. Like I said in previous videos, I've never had a problem holding threat when I tank. But still, this is pretty nice. Your DPS, if you're the tank, your DPS casted on you, everybody's taking damage getting pulled right to you. It's like it's a trash pull for DPS. Hunters should have this, Sorry, hunters. Try to show you some love, but yeah. I have a hunter. Don't hate on me for that. Remorseless Winter, kind of similar. I think it's very similar to something in game, although I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Instant cast, 1 minute cooldown, surrounds the Death Knight with swirling tempest of frigid air, dealing 374 frost damage to enemies within 8 yards every 1 second for 8 seconds. Each time Remorseless Winter deals damage, it reduces enemy movement speed by 15%, stacking up to 5 times upon receiving a 5th application, and an enemy will be stunned for 6 seconds. Not necessarily as cool as Gorfine's Grasp, I don't think, but it's still pretty neat. It's still pretty handy. And I was wrong. There is nothing like that in the game. I thought there was. Once I read it, I realized I was wrong. Desecrated Ground is the other level 90 talent. Coffee. Corrupts the ground with an 8-yard radius beneath the Death Knight, dealing 1,125 shadow damage every second for 10 seconds. Standing in this corruption, the Death Knight is immune to crowd control effects. Now, this is a heavy, heavy PvP talent. I know they're trying to do away with that. But seriously, you're going to give me an ability that I can cast that'll deal damage to everybody around me within 8 yards. Well, you know, an 8-yard radius, 8 yards either side, front and back, that'll deal damage to them and makes me immune to crowd control? Now, if I spec into Lichborn on top of that, now that's just like 2 CC breakers. Bam, right off the spot for a DK, man. DKs are going to be pretty brutal, I think, in PvP. Not that they've ever been really that weak, except for the, you know, nubs that don't know how to play them. Everything I see about this just makes me a little bit more excited, you know, for Mists of Pandaria. Quick side note, not related to any specific class spec or anything else, but I've been noticing in the talents, I know there's one in the priest tree, and there's a couple here and there in other places. When you go through stuff, it says next to them, you know, NYI, not yet implemented. Usually what that means is that a lot of this stuff is already in the alpha. They're testing this as we speak. Anything that's NYI is not yet implemented in the alpha and is completely untested. A good sign for the beta, really, because that means, you know, that they're marking things so they know what's implemented and what's not, so they don't lose track of it. So, you know, and they can see what initial reactions are to stuff that they think might be sketchy. You know, if they throw something in, I'm going to jump ahead here and go to the priest tree real quick so I can find this. Wow, why am I slow today? That's weird. Divine Star has an NYI next to it. It's a level 45 talent, 20-yard range, instant cast, 30-second cooldown. Fires a Divine Star in front of you, traveling 20 yards, doing damage to all enemies and healing all friendly targets in its path. After reaching its destination, it will return to you, also dealing damage and healing all targets in its path. It's a life and death boomerang. NYI, though, not yet implemented. I can see where they would think some of the community might have some issues with something like that, because it has a chance to be fairly overpowered. You know, I mean, it's, like I said, these are talents, so this isn't, you know, a spec specific thing. But that's my thoughts, anyways. If you guys have different thoughts on that, you know, feel free, post a comment, you know, video response, whatever you want to do. Let me know how you feel about it. Going back to where we should be in the lineup of things here, we got Druids. Druids get some kind of major changes in Mists of Pandaria. As we all know, they get officially four specs. I mean, we've all known they've kind of had 4, but it's really just been two DPS specs that were like, you know, hybrid DPS tank, or you know what I mean. They had DPS tanks, caster, and heals. So yeah, now they have officially 4 specs. Guardian is the new spec that's been added in. It's the official Druid tanking spec. Like I said, there's quite a bit going on here too. Man, there is a lot of cool talents going in for Druids too. Level 87 ability that's learned, not in the talents, is Symbiosis. Creates a symbiotic link which grants the Druid 1 ability belonging to the target's class, varying by the Druid spec. That's kind of neat. In exchange, grants the target 1 Druid ability based on their class and combat role. Lasts 1 hour and persists through death. Cannot be cast on other Druids. Effect canceled if Druid and target become too far apart. Oh, that's kind of neat. You know, if you got a Druid and a Pally healer both in a raid group. I know Pallies are amazing raid heals. They always have been. I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't Pally healed ever, but I've always preferred, when I'm raid tanking, to have a Pally as my healer. Their single target heals have always been pretty damn good. I really like them a lot. And druids, druids are epic raid heals, always have been. So druid and pally, druid cast this on pally. Let's say, I don't know, what does druid get? Divine protection, maybe. You know, they get a bubble. That's freaking handy. Pally gets, I don't know, rejuvenation, life bloom. Either way, you know, that's really cool. It's interesting. It's going to do something cool. I think it's going to do some cool stuff. I'm not really entirely sure how it's going to play out yet, but kind of interested in it. I mean, I do have an 85 druid, so we'll see. Oh, coffee is the nectar of life, I tell you what. Moving right along to the rest of the druid tree here. Level 85, man. Druids just get all sorts of weirdness going on in this because, you know, druids have always had, you know, if that's the spec they're in, that's what they're doing. You know, they can hop out of a kitty DPS spec and, you know, throw some heals if they have to, but the heals are never very good. You know, and same with like a healer can jump into kitty and go DPS a little bit, but their DPS is never very good. Just that's the way it's been. They're good at what they're doing and at other things that they could do. It seems like what they tried to focus on is really to make the druids a lot more versatile. I'm not sure how I feel about that because druids are already pretty damn versatile. I mean, if you're, you know, you're DPSing in a group and your healer drops, you pop up, jump, you can't talk today. You know, I was going to edit that out, but I'm just going to leave it in for y'all. You can just see how goofy I am. I'm not even doing outtakes. So anyways, yeah, you know, if you're DPSing, healer drops, and you're a druid, you pop out of kitty and start laying down heals. They're not great, but they'll save a group from a wipe. You know, they're enough to save a group from a wipe. You know, I mean, same thing. If the tank dies, you just hit your bear form and pick it up. You know, you're not going to be as good as a dedicated tank, but you're still able to potentially save the group from a wipe, which, you know, that's a good thing. Now they're making them more versatile. I mean, just making the way they switch roles around. I mean, it makes it easier. It's cool for us, but Heart of the Wild is a level 90 talent, 40-yard range, instant cast, 6-minute cooldown. Dramatically improves the druid's ability to serve combat roles outside of normal spec for 45 seconds. So this gives you 45 seconds of whoop-ass in a different spec that you're not. All right. As balance, if you're in balance spec, heals generate... Healing spells generate lunar or solar energy and benefit from lunar and solar eclipses. Lunar? A lunar eclipse. In addition, grants 50% of intellect as agility. So if you want to bump into kitty form, nice. 100% of hit rating as expertise rating. Nice for the bears. And increases armor by 95% while in bear form. That's pretty damn sweet, you know. If you're in feral spec, it grants 50% of agility as intellect, increases hit rating by 100%, and increases armor by 95% while in bear form. In addition, generates 2% of maximum mana every 5 seconds. It's not meditation, but 2% MP5 is pretty good. If you're in your tank spec, generates 50% of agility as intellect and increases hit rating by 100%. In addition, generates 2% of max mana every 5 seconds. Still pretty nice if you're off tanking and you know, need to throw out some heals because your healer dropped and you're right at the end. That will save a raid. If you're in resto spec, grants 50% of intellect as agility and 100% of spirit as hit rating and expertise rating. That's pretty impressive. I tend to stack at least a fair bit of spirit. If that was given to me as 100% hit and expertise, I'd never miss, ever. They'd be throwing themselves at my kitty claws, you know, it'd be horrible. And increases armor by 95% while in bear form. In addition, damage spells cost no mana. That's pretty sweet. Another raid saver. I think that's going to be cool. Like I said, I really have high hopes for this expansion. I mean, just, you know, they're not completely changing the game and making it a new game, but they really are doing some neat stuff with it. It's going to be pretty cool, I think. Pretty excited about it, really. Anyways, moving right along to the second. Wow, that was only one talent. I'm already at 15 minutes. It's going to be a long video, folks. I might split this up a couple here. Dream of Cenarius. Wrath, Starfire, Star Surge, and melee abilities increase healing done by your next healing spell by 30%. So if you got a free minute in combat where you're not healing anybody, everything's alright, you're doing a trash mob, you don't really need to heal anybody right at the moment, lay out a little DPS, next healing spell goes up by 30%. That's pretty sweet. Non-instant cast of Nourish, Healing, Touch, and Regrowth increases the damage done by your next damaging spell or ability by 30%. Pretty neat. Each of those bonuses lasts 30 seconds and cannot be gained more often than once every 30 seconds. Still pretty cool. And that's not a cast, that's a passive. That's just always there. Just to distinguish that. Disentanglement, we know that one. Shapeshifting now removes roots. In addition, shifting into a form heals the druid for 20% of maximum health, which is kind of neat. I don't know how that's going to work in arena play, but that's kind of neat. This heal cannot be received more often than once every 30 seconds. So that kind of limits it down a little bit, but still. Twitchy. Level 75 talent's kind of neat. Ursol's Vortex, 30-yard range, instant cast, 30-second cooldown. Conjures a vortex of wind at the destination location that pulls all enemies within 15 yards towards it. Lasts 15 seconds. Usable on all shape-shift forms. Say that 5 times fast. That's kind of neat. You know, you don't have to shift out of bear form and you've got another ranged pull. That's pretty sweet. Rolling right along here, we got Hunters. Hunters get some really cool stuff. I really should do a video just on Hunters because, man, if you guys haven't watched not this week's Legendary, last week's Legendary, go over to GameBreaker.tv and watch that. Holy crap, they got a video up of the new Hunter abilities and what looks to be some of the new BGs from Mr. Pandaria. If you haven't seen it, pause, go watch it. It won't break my heart. I did. I know I did. But in that case, let's see here. Learned abilities, trainer learned abilities. Wow, they got nothing new up past 85. It ends at camouflage. So I'm guessing they're going to add an 87 ability in there yet because both Druids and Death Knights both have an 87 ability added in there. Hunters do not, but they do get some cool stuff. Glaive Toss. You hurl 2 glaives in front of you 30 yards, dealing 1x damage to all enemies and reducing their movement speed by 50%. That doesn't mean 1 times. That just means 1, x. Alright? The x is explained later. The glaives will return back to you, also dealing damage and snaring targets they hit. Not smashing, snaring. The glaive toss if the glaive toss hits at least 2 enemies in both directions, the cooldown is reset. Pretty cool. Now, bear in mind, then again, there's no minimum, range distance anymore. You can cast this with enemies directly in front of you. There's no melee range for Hunters anymore. Power Shot. This is kind of neat. You wind up a powerful shot dealing 1x damage to all targets in front of you within 20 yards width. Not 20 yards directly out, 20 yards to either side in front. The damage done is increased on targets further away from you. 15 to 30 yards is double damage and stun for 1 second. Pretty cool. 30 to 50 yards, triple damage and stun for 2 seconds. I like it. I'm actually leveling 100 to get to 85 just so that when mists drop, I can go right to 90 with her. It'll be good. The last one is neat, and they actually put a PvP limitation in for it because it does have the potential to be so OP that it's not even funny. It's called Binding Shot. Costs 20 focus, 30-yard range, instant cast. You fire a magical projectile tethering the enemy and any other enemies within 10 yards to the landing arrow. Increases all damage they receive from you by 15%. If they move 15 yards from the arrow, they are stunned for 10 seconds, 5 seconds in PvP. That's still pretty sweet. Oh, God, I don't know what I'd do in life without coffee. But anyways, so that's pretty neat. I'm going to try to breeze through these pretty quick. I still want to get you guys the information that I'm really trying to convey here, but like I said, I'm running pretty long in this. I'm at 19 minutes already, so, we might just split this. What do we got? We got 4, 5. I might just split it into 2 videos, 5 and 5, but, man, I hate to do that to you. If I do it, I'll record them both today and upload them both today, though, for you. Just because I hate splitting stuff up like that. If I stopped talking about other stuff, I'd probably get it done quicker, huh? Moving right along, mages. Alter Time is their level 87 ability. 1% of base its cost is 1% of your base mana. Instant cast, 3-minute cooldown. Alter the fabric of time, causing the caster to return to their current location, health, mana, and conditions after 4 seconds. Effects negated if the caster dies within the 4 seconds before the effect occurs or moves too far away. I don't I don't know. I don't really get it. It's kind of neat, but I don't really get it. I don't, you know, you alter the fabric of time, causing you to return to your current location. So does that mean you can like actually go back in time, kill somebody that's trying to kill you from 4 seconds, and then from 4 seconds in the future, and then is that how that's going to work? That's going to be kind of interesting to see how that one works out in beta, which I'm in the beta, of course. You know, I did the annual pass and all that, so I will let you guys know. Those of you that are not in the beta, I will let you know. 1 million people did the annual pass, so there's a lot of us in the beta. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm a fan, though. I think it's going to be neat. Invocation no longer has a cooldown. It's level 90 talent. Invocation, your invocation spell no longer has a cooldown, but you no longer have any base mana regeneration. Yeah. Completing an evocation causes you to deal 20% increased spell damage for 30 seconds. But you have no MP5. So I don't know how that'll work. Maybe I need to cut out the coffee a little bit. I'm a little fidgety, aren't I? Rune of Power, 30-yard range, 1.5 second cast, 10-second cooldown. Places a Rune of Power on the ground, which lasts for 1 minute. While standing in your Rune of Power, your mana regeneration is increased by 100%, and your spell damage is increased by 15%. Only 2 Runes of Power can be placed at one time. It says it replaces Evocation. Alright, because the last one is Invocation, not Evocation. That's kind of neat. So it's like you can regenerate 100%. Your mana regen is increased 100%, but your spell damage is increased 15%. So you can it's like a evocation you can actually use in combat. That's neat. Incanter's Shield. It's basically another molten armor or something like that. It looks absorbs damage, converting the damage into mana up to a maximum of 30% of your maximum mana. Lasts 8 seconds. When your Incanter's Shield is destroyed, you gain 30% increased spell power for 15 seconds. Mages got buffed. Again. Yeah. Next, and another one of my favorites. I do like Pallies, even though I've never managed to level 1 all the way. I am working on it. Don't hate. Level 87, Blinding Light. Requires level 87, 23% of your base mana. This costs a quarter of your base mana. Instant cast, 3-minute cooldown, emits a dazzling light in all directions, blinding enemies within 10 yards, causing them to wander disoriented for 6 seconds. I don't know if that's really worth 25% of my base mana. That's a lot. But anyways, some other really cool abilities. One of my favorite ones is it's the third one in this set. I'll save it for last, but it is good. I do need to cut down the coffee. It is a good one, and just the description of it. Really, the description of it is great. Legendary had a blast talking about this one this last week too. So, first one is Holy Prism. Costs 8% of your base mana, 40-yard range, instant cast, 20-second cooldown, blah blah blah. Sends a beam of light towards a target, turning them into a prism for holy energy. If an enemy is the prism, they take 1,581 holy damage and radiate 1,170 healing to 5 nearby allies within 10 yards. That's pretty neat. If an ally is the prism, they are healed for 3,509, and they radiate 527 holy damage to 5 nearby enemies within 10 yards. It's much more effective to cast on an enemy, it seems, than on an ally. But still not exactly ineffective either way. 8% of base mana is not really a huge cost, so... Well, I guess depending on what base mana is going to be at level 90. Light's Hammer. They're really doing some weird things with these pally abilities, but I kind of like it. Hurl a light-infused hammer into the ground, where it will blast a 10-yard area with holy magic for 15 seconds. Allies within the area are healed for this. The math has got to be wrong on this, because it just has to be. Allies within the area are healed for 6 every 2 seconds, while enemies take 6 holy damage every 2 seconds. This is a level 90 talent. This has to be wrong tooltip information here, because nobody's going to pick that. 6? at level 90? Nobody's going to take that. It's just ridiculous. I'm assuming, like I said, they are going to change the tooltip on this. God, the damage has got to be wrong. It's got to be like 600 or 6,000 or something. 6? No, not going to happen. Execution settings. 40-yard range, instant cast, 1 minute cooldown. And this is one of the things they're really doing that... I mean, all three of these really are something neat they're doing with Pallies, but this one I like. And I think it's... I don't see how anyone with a sense of humor can't like this, really. A hammer slowly falls from the sky, causing increasing holy damage to the designated target for the next 10 seconds and culminating in a final burst of damage. Seriously? Allow me to demonstrate this spell in action. Seriously. Anybody with a sense of humor has to love that one anyways. The other side of it is Stay of Execution, which is if it's used on a friendly target. The falling hammer heals the target for the next 10 seconds and culminating in a final burst of healing. I'm sorry. I just really love that talent. Yeah. But that's the first 5 talent trees anyways. Like I said, I'm not going through everything and every major change in them. I just wanted to cover the level 90 abilities and the level 87 trained abilities. There's not going to be trainers anymore, I guess, so the level 87 abilities that are learned but not talented into. Yeah, that being said, I'm at 26.5 minutes on this. I still haven't added the intro or edited or anything else. So, yeah, I'm going to call it short on this one. Well, somewhat long. And I will do the other 5 talent trees. We still have priests, rogues, shamans, warlocks, and warriors to go. And I have some stuff to discuss about shamans, so I may just throw them in their own little separate category. But, yeah, next video we'll be uploading probably later today or tomorrow. That's the first five classes anyways. If you got any comments, criticisms, suggestions, complaints, gripes, anything, drop me a mail in my inbox. It's CasualWarcraft@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook. It's just Facebook.com/LustWarcraft. I said that wrong last time. And we have a Twitter now, Twitter.com/CasualWarcraft, any of those 3. If you really want to ask me a question or you want to see something on the show, let me know in my inbox, CasualWarcraft@gmail. It's probably the best way to get a hold of me. That comes right to my phone, so I never miss an email. Most of the time, unless I get it when I'm asleep and then I roll over and ignore it for a little while. Yeah, anyways, comment, subscribe, like, thumbs up, and all that noise, and we will see you again very, very soon, YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. This is Lust with Casual Warcraft.